All right, guys, today we are going to be doing a beginner's tutorial of Premiere Pro. Let's get right into it. Let's jump in. So, guys, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to, you guys can see my screen. I am going to open Premiere Pro. We're going to be going over a few things today. We're going to be going over importing your footage, editing your footage, so basically adding a title, splitting clips, examining or analyzing, I guess, the timeline, basically going back and forth through, scrubbing through your footage, you should say, and then from there we'll be exporting, and that is basically it. Very basic, very to the point, Premiere Pro tutorial. So guys, as you guys can see on my screen, the first thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be making a new project. Ignore my recents. You obviously will not have these because you are a beginner and you don't have any projects yet. Maybe you have only done one though and you're making sure that you're doing things right. Whatever it is, let's just get right into it, guys. So we're going to go here to new project. So for me personally, I always recommend doing I always recommend saving mine to the desktop. I've just had numerous occasions where I'll save it somewhere and then at the end of the day I'm like, why did I do that? Because now it doesn't work. So now I can't, if I don't save it to the desktop, I realize that I have trouble finding it, and then later on I'm just kind of annoyed, and that's just not the way to go. So anyways, guys, we're going to do test, and then I'm going to do my first name. My name is Justin, so we're going to do test Justin desktop, and it'd be hilarious if I lost it while I'm doing a video of this, but it is what it is. So guys, you open Premiere Pro. I kind of showed you guys how to do that on the beginning of the video, but that should be somewhat self-explanatory. You go to your applications on your computer and then you open Premiere Pro. This is not a tutorial on how to download that either. That would be at another time. But now we have Premiere Pro open. So like I promised, guys, we're gonna go find our footage. So for me, I'm gonna go to one of my folders, and then we're gonna find some footage to export. So we are gonna do, we're gonna do the sound bar here. So this was some footage that I did beforehand. So this is another video. You guys can go on my channel, but we're gonna do two pieces of footage here. I'm only gonna do two pieces of footage, two files, because I want to make this simple for you guys, but I also really want to keep it short and sweet, just so you guys can really understand what we're doing here. So we have our two files in here. On the left, where my mouse is currently, is going to be where the project media is. So that's where your files are hanging out. And that's where, in reality, this doesn't really mean anything until later on in the video when you'll actually put some text down there to drag in. That doesn't make any sense now, and that's super fine. I don't want to confuse you, so for now we're going to ignore that. For now, what we're going to look at, guys, is this light blue area. That is our actual footage. You guys can see I scroll with this wheel at the bottom. This is not a wheel. This line at the bottom, excuse me, guys, not a wheel. We can go back and forth on our footage. One of the biggest things to know as a beginner is you're going to want to use these two circles on this line at the bottom. So this line I'm touching with my mouse right now, dragging, the two circles on the left and the right are huge. So those are very important to remember. If you drag those either way, you're zooming in, out, and in on your footage. So this is going to come in handy when you're trying to zoom in on footage and you're trying to splice a clip, cut a clip at a very specific point. So to give you guys a really good idea of this is that if I'm dragging, I have my light blue vertical line here, and if I drag that to the left and right, I can see that we're playing the footage. So I can either play it with a space bar, and that's a sound bar. You guys can see the other stuff in the background, and then I can pause it. But if we want to scrub it without actually hitting the play and pause button, we're going to move this vertical line back and forth. But let's just say, let's play it, and let's just say we want to cut the clip right there. So if we want to cut the clip right there, now obviously I can just cut it right here, but if I want to zoom in, I can actually move this circle to the left to zoom in on that clip. Now we're going to do one thing at a time. That is how to zoom in on your timeline, but the first thing I want to show you guys is how to cut clips. So we can either go over here where my mouse is to the tool, and we can go to the razor tool, and then what we can do is from there we can go and we can splice this clip. It's a splice cut, whatever you want to call it. So from here we can actually splice the clip. So after we splice the clip or we cut it, now that is a segment. So you guys can see that when I click on this where my mouse is, that is now a segment. We cut the clip so that these are two different clips. Clip 1, clip 2, clip 1, clip 2. You guys can see that, right? So from there, what we can do is we can actually get rid of this if we wanted to. But for the sake of this video, I'm actually gonna keep this, I want this to be actually accurate. So what we're gonna do is, we have our splice right here, where you guys can see my mouse, right here. Between this and this, we have it right here. So if I want to play it, and then have the footage, so we actually want to take that out. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna delete that, and then we're gonna slide this over. You can always drag your footage to slide it over to make ends meet, to combine the trains, if you want to call these trains, whatever. So from here, guys, what we're gonna do is we're gonna play the footage, and I want to do an example of when we would actually cut into a segment. So that looks pretty good. So if we come over here, we can see that the footage looks pretty smooth, 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 smooth. And then if we want it, there was a little jump there. So here's what we're gonna do. Is from here, we're gonna do a splice. So remember, guys, these are your shortcuts for today. If you remember anything, the shortcuts are C and V. C is gonna be your razor tool. V is gonna be your selection tool. So C is your razor, this one right here that I'm using. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut the footage we don't want. So you're gonna cut the starting point at the footage you don't want, and then we're gonna use our selection tool to drag this vertical line to the footage we don't, to end the sequence of what we don't want. So at this point, we can see the jump ends there, so we're gonna go and razor tool that. So from there, we're gonna razor tool that. We're gonna do C for razor, C for razor. You don't need to do shift or anything like that. It's literally just C and V. So C is gonna be razor. Now we're gonna go back to our selection tool V, and we're gonna cut that clip out. We're gonna hit delete. We're gonna select it and hit delete. I'm gonna go back just so you guys can see exactly what I did. We're gonna hit that, click it. That's the segment we don't want, and then we're gonna hit delete. So now we're gonna pull our footage back so it actually makes sense, and now we should have our final product. So from here, guys, basically how this is gonna work is now we should have cuts in the sequence that help us make this more professional. So now we can see that it's running perfectly. And from there, I'm not gonna go through these each individual ones because I wanna give you guys a foundation for how to use Premiere Pro. And then I want you guys on your own to, after this video, to go back in and do what I explained to you guys and taught you. Take what you learned from this and apply it to this actual sequence on your own of your video, and then hopefully it helps in that point of view. So the next thing we're gonna do real quick, guys, is we're gonna go over how to do a title. So a title is gonna be up here at File. We're gonna go up to File, where you guys can see my mouse, New, then we're gonna go to Legacy Title. So from here, we're gonna call this whatever you wanna do. I'm gonna say Welcome, because this is just gonna say Welcome to my channel. So we're gonna click. So we have the text selected up here. Text is in blue, Type Tool. And then we're gonna go here and we're gonna just type welcome. Now I'm gonna hit Control A, and then we're gonna go up to this 2 T's. It says size, but it's 2 T's is the symbol. We're gonna go there, and we're gonna click on it, and then we're gonna drag the number. The number, when you hover your mouse over the number, it should give you these 2 little arrows. We're gonna drag those to make this bigger. Then from there, as we can see, this became huge. So now we have our title created. So from here, we have welcome, and it's huge. So from this, welcome now went into the bottom left. This is the media browser where all of our media is. We're gonna take the welcome and we're gonna put it over where we want it. See, as you guys can see with my mouse, I'm dragging it anywhere I want. You can do the same on your end. So if you're playing basketball with your friends, or you're making a cooking video, or you're making a video about how to cross the road, the street, whatever it is, how to make chicken parmesan, whatever it's gonna be, your footage is gonna be here, and you're gonna wanna put this title wherever you see it. So now you guys can see my pink title is over the blue footage. So now from here, we can hit play, and we have welcome. Now, if you're saying to yourself, well, how do I kind of make that welcome look different? Whatever it's gonna be, you can actually go back in. So how I did that was, you can actually go back in, double click on the pink, you can go back in and you can make this anything you want. So if I take these and kind of spread these out, these menus, I can make this another color. And basically how I did this, I don't mean to rush, but I don't want to waste you guys' time, is I went over to here to color. You want to highlight it, color, and then you can manipulate the text however you want over here in the settings. So guys, we went over importing footage. You drag it from your folder into Premiere Pro. You drag and drop. We went over splicing the clip, cutting the clip. C and V is your shortcuts for cutting and selecting your footage. Then we went over titles, and now we're gonna go over exporting, and you guys are on your way to your first official video. So we're gonna go over here to File, then we're gonna do Export Media. So it's done. We have our media. Now keep in mind, guys, I will tell you this, from my experience, if you guys are doing 4K editing, 4K video, it's probably gonna take a good amount of time. So unless you have some $5,000 computer, this PC I'm on is a gaming PC, and it is relatively quick, but it can take up to an hour depending on what you're exporting. Really depends on if you're using 4K or 1080p, and then from there it really depends on how long it is. So obviously when you put in your footage, if you have an hour of footage but then you condense it into 15 minutes, it's going to be definitely different. But if you're doing like an hour of 4K video or even 30 minutes, it's going to take a long time. So keep that in mind, guys. What I usually do is turn off my monitor and then go do something else, go run errands, grocery store, whatever you're going to do. So from here, guys, we can see that we have our footage on the left. This is just a sample and a preview, so we know what we're doing. I usually do H.264, and then I'll do 2160 4K video. The way you know that it's accurate is that at the bottom, your file size should be pretty big if you're doing 4K. This is almost a gig, and this is about 2 minutes of footage, 3 minutes of footage. So we can see estimated file size. If your estimated file size is like 5 gigs, that would make sense if you're doing like 15 minutes of video. So just keep that in mind, guys. I do preset 2160 4K Ultra HD. That means it's 4K. You want to make sure it's 4K if you're putting it on YouTube so other people don't get upset. And then format H.264. If you don't see this, you're using some other operating system. First off, that's not for this video. This is strictly a Windows/PC tutorial. And I only say that because Mac I have used it on, and it is slightly, ever so slightly different. And I don't want any confusion. You're going to want to make sure your export audio is on, export video. And then the biggest thing, pause the brakes, guys. Definitely want to pay attention to this, is when you hit the output name, make sure it's going somewhere you know. I can't tell you how many times I've been excited to export and I'll hit that go button and then it ends up in my videos folder in some wacko, hard to find folder with a name that I've never heard, like image 1480. Like, who's gonna remember that? So what you want to do is desktop, and then you want to do test Justin, and then there you go, guys. So overall, guys, this is how you do it. You're gonna hit save from here. I'm not gonna hit save because then you guys would hit save from here. Then you're gonna hit export at the bottom right here. I just don't want to save this on my hard drive because it's gonna confuse me. But you're gonna hit save where my mouse is right now, and then you're gonna hit export after that, and then you guys are all set. Once it exports, it doesn't necessarily go away, any of the windows. It's just gonna come up and say exporting. So keep that in mind, guys. Once again, like I said, go do something else while it's exporting. Don't get yourself all crazy. Unless, of course, you're doing like a 2-minute basketball introduction or something, and then it'll take a few minutes. One thing I will say, guys, is a tip or trick. If you guys want to do this, it's up to you. I would recommend it initially. But if you guys are somebody who is really anxious to just get videos up on YouTube, or you're really anxious to just get things done, one thing I would recommend is if you don't want to wait a while and it is a really long video, do 1080p because it does take a significantly less amount of time. So if you're doing 4K and you're doing like 30 minutes, you're going to be sitting here for a while. So it really depends on what you guys want to do. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. Once again, this is Justin with The Digital Life, and this is a beginner's tutorial of Adobe Premiere Pro.